Do Finns hate Russians? What attitudes have changed between Finnish and Russian people's relations? All of this in this video. I'm Igor in Russia. In this video we're going to be talking about the new survey done in Finland about the attitudes towards the Russian people migrating to Finland. So please check out this video if you're interested. Please subscribe to the channel as well. I make videos about life in St. Petersburg and locations, culture, events, etc. You're very welcome to join and of course become a member. So alright, let's go. In a survey commissioned by Finnish magazine Iltalehti, it was found that the attitudes towards Russian immigrants has tightened considerably since last time measured. There has been a tightening of immigration policy attitudes, and supporters of so-called True Finns party in particular stand out from the voters of other parties. The majority of Finns have more positive attitude nowadays towards Ukrainians than towards asylum seekers from the Middle East, Afghanistan or Africa. According to this news about the survey, Finnish people's attitude towards immigrants from different countries has changed in the last 7 years. The most significant change concerns Russian and Ukrainian immigrants. I wonder why. The finding is clear from a survey carried out by the Iltalehti. A similar survey was carried out in surveys commissioned by Suomen Kuvalehti in 2015 and at the turn of the year 2019 and 2020. In this particular survey in which we're going to get into, they asked, in your view, how desirable you consider these immigrants coming to Finland from following countries. According to the latest survey conducted, Finns considered Swedes, Germans, Estonians, Americans and Ukrainians to be the most desirable immigrants. Especially the attitude towards those coming from Ukraine has changed considerably. 7 years ago, about a third considered Ukrainians undesirable, that's 33% approximately. But now the opposition has dropped to 12% percentage points. Opposition to Ukrainian immigrants, I mean. Here we can see actually the whole survey's results. And we can see there, of course, the Swedish, Germans being mostly like 90% positive. And as the third, what you call that, the paragraph, it's like there's a considerable amount of people having negative thoughts about Russian immigrants. That's actually a 70% amount. That's very considerable. Estonians on the green side, Americans on the green side. And then of course, then we get to these other minority groups, immigrant groups, which most Finnish people are actually have even more negative views on. That's Somalians, Iraqi people, Afghans, Syrians, and yeah, very interesting. And if you compare that to the 2015, of course, the most interesting was for this video, Russians, Ukrainians, the biggest changes is there. And of course, also to already negatively viewed minority groups, Afghans, Iraqi people, Afghans, Syrians. At the same time, the attitudes towards those coming from Russia has started to be clearly even more negative than before. Note, now it's been as many as 72% considered immigrants from Russia quite or very undesirable, while in 2015 their corresponding figure was still 51%. A high number, even that one. Reasons for the rise in anti-Russian immigrant sentiment is understandably probably because of the events started in February 2022. On the general level, the results show that the countries from which immigrants have been considered the most desirable are now viewed a little positively than before. At the same time, the attitude towards Somali, Iraqi, Afghan and Syrian immigrants has tightened even more. The group in question are viewed almost as critically. About 2/3 of respondents considered them undesirable. Along with Russia, the biggest change in a more negative direction has occurred towards Chinese. Back in 2015, 25% of respondents considered the Chinese as undesirable immigrants, but now the figure has risen to 31%. So a slight change, growth there. A more positive attitudes than, of course, towards Ukrainians. The survey also presented a direct comparison between asylum seekers from Ukraine and the Middle East, Africa, and Afghanistan. The answers show that the majority of Finns, 76%, say that they have more positive attitude towards Ukrainian asylum seekers. So this is quite interesting. What can we make of that? So I guess people see people's needs differently. 94% of the supporters from Finnish party Kokoomus and 89% of the supporters of True Finns fully or somewhat agreed with the statement, "I treat asylum seekers from Ukraine more positively than those from Middle East, Africa, and Afghanistan." Also 51%, according to the survey, 51% of supporters of the Green Party said they have more positive attitude towards Ukrainians than those other groups, which is very mind-blowing because the Green Party has been considered very people-loving, you know, very liberal, that type of stuff. So very interesting finding. For supporters of the Left Alliance, the leftist party, the corresponding figure was only 44%. According to the news article about the survey, Markku Jokisipilä, he's a director of the Center for Parliamentary Studies at the University of Turku, explains the approach in two ways. He said that in this news article. First of all, it's obvious that Ukrainians are culturally and ethnically much closer to Finns than those who came in 2015 during the refugee crisis. Well, I have to comment on that because Ukrainians, Russians are very similar people. Yes, a brother nation in many ways, culturally, religiously, etc. So, you know, very interesting that Russians were still, even before this new survey, quite unlikable group, having 51% negative views on that. So that doesn't add up. Then this director continued, in 2015, the Syrian war was presented as the basis of humanitarian immigration. But when looking at the flow of arrivals, Syrians were in the minority compared to Iraqis and Afghans. So those with a critical attitude questioned their motives. This is like just, you know, whitewashing the possibly just anti-Russian, already quite anti-Russian foundation that there is in Finland. That's my perspective, I'd say. You can always come up with reasons why this and that, but yeah. Supporters of True Finns party have the strictest line, or I don't know, I might add just racism, I don't know. It's not the first time they would be called a racist party. You'd agree if you just follow certain attitudes over there. The survey also investigated the general attitude towards immigration policy. Respondents were asked to define the position on the question, what do you think about immigration policy on a scale from 0 to 10? In the survey, 0 meant the point of view, I wish there was as many people with different looks from different countries as possible in Finland. And 10, on the other hand, represented the position, I hope that there would be as many native Finns as possible in Finland who share Finnish national values. There were significant differences between the parties. Basic Finns stood out from the other parties by positioning themselves close to extreme end of the divide, emphasizing Finnish national values. And now this, of course, is very shocking. I'm just being sarcastic. There were also differences between the sexes in the attitude towards immigration policy. In the women's average was 4.8 and the men's 6.25. So men were more, I don't know, racist or critical. That's the word I should use. Men's views in particular have tightened, while women's attitude have loosened at the same time. So yeah, this is very fascinating. The survey had 1,036 people questioned or surveyed in January between 16th and 19th. So this is like very recent survey. And the ages were between 15 and 79, and the results were weighted according to age, gender, and place of residence to corresponding population statistics. So what you guys think? Is Finland just anti-Russian, Russophobic, or is it just racist in general, or racist towards just certain countries? I don't know. The floor is yours. I'm Igor in Russia. This is just the news with just slight commentary from me as a Finnish Russian person and Ingrid Finn with Russian roots. So thanks for joining, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.